Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel where we're going over this week's trades. We're going to start off strong with GBP CAD right here. It's one of my favorite trades of this week because if you look at higher time frames, um, weekly was going through this area of rejection, price broke above, came back for a retest like we talked about last week, gave us a 61.8 Fibonacci level rejection and then started pumping up again. Now we're going to take advantage of this pump, and if you go down to daily, we can see that daily did go bearish right here when this was the higher low. Price shifted over here, so price did go bearish, but that's okay because that was according to our plan, where we needed price to go bearish so that it can come all the way down here for a rejection of this weekly area of interest. As soon as this happened, price gave us a bullish move but gave us another bearish move so that market could shift structure so that it can go bullish again, because the nearest lowest high is over here, so price can't come all the way back over here just to shift structure. So to shift structure, markets gave us a lower high and then a lower low and then shifted structure. An easy way to see this is the line chart. As we can see, price clearly broke above over here, so we can go bullish. Now when it comes to this trade right here, we can see that there's this area of structure where there's like resistance, support, resistance right here, and price gave us a breakout but came back for a rejection and it's starting to go back up again. The market's just opened like 2 hours ago. Right now it's about I think it was like 3 hours ago. My analysis for this trade was that once price breaks above this area, gives us a rejection, I'm gonna go long over here. But markets open pretty wild, they're moving a lot right now. So yeah, I'm just gonna be waiting because as we can see on the 1 hour time frame, price has been rejecting this area of structure. Price just broke above, but I'm gonna wait for the candle to close. I'm gonna go down to like 15 or 30 minute time frame just to see, once I get like a rejection right over here, I'm gonna go long. I'm gonna be I'm gonna put my take profit on levels of this right here, where there's like a lot of structure right here. So probably somewhere around here where price has seen a lot of rejection. So I'm going to put my take profit somewhere over here. I'm getting a good 124.13 is to reward. A really strong trade to start off our week. I'm super excited. And our next pair is NZD CAD. So my analysis for this trade is that price is basically bearish right now. Price still hasn't shifted structure. The weekly price broke under this area of structure. Price might be coming for a rejection. If it wants to reject this area and go down, I'm prepared for that scenario. There's no guarantee, but if it does, then I'm prepared. If we go down to daily did shift structure on the time frame. This was the lower high, this was the lower low. Price broke above this lower high, so this becomes higher high, this becomes higher low. Then price may give us a small rejection and then went back up again, and it looks like daily is making up like a perfect head and shoulders pattern right here. So what I'm waiting for in the daily or 4 hour time frame is for price to break under this area of support and 200 EMA. If that does so, that's perfect for us. 4 hour gives us a better view on how the markets are performing. As we can see that there is this area of resistance and support, and price almost took support over here, but that's okay. But I'm expecting price to just come back over here for a rejection of this area of support and resistance. Hold on. Yeah, so there was a resistance, and then there was a bit of support over here. So once price comes back over here, I'm gonna be interested in the markets because I'm going to keeping an eye out. If I could, I might enter over here, but the perfect trade would be to wait for price to break this low. Once it does so, I'm super confident in going short, and this is also one of my favorite trades for this week. The next pair we're going to is CHF-JPY. If you look at weekly is pretty much bullish. Okay, price broke above this lower high, price gave us a retracement, a bearish candle. If you go down to daily is still bullish. What I'm waiting for is this internal shift of structure on the daily. So if you can see daily, there's an internal market structure of bearish. So I want price to close above these highs right here. If we go down to 4 hour, we can see it more clearly. So what my analysis for this pair is, for me to go long, because price could continue downwards, but for me to go long, I would wait for price to come up here close above this area and come down for a rejection where price has clearly taken a lot of support from. And if once price closes above this area and comes back for a rejection, I'll feel super confident to take the trade because I know that price is ready to go back up. I'm just waiting for 4 hour to shift structure. If we go down to smaller time frames, like let's say 1 hour, there's just this area trend line of resistance right over here. Yeah, price has finally broken through it, which is also a plus point for my analysis. There's this 50 and 200 EMA right over here. 50 EMA on the 4 hour, giving us a little brief support right over here. But I'm still going to be waiting for a lot of confirmation on this trade. I'm not going to be rushing in. And when it comes to my take profit, I might just put my take profit at this daily high wicks right over here. So this is my analysis for CHF Our next pair is NZD So if we go down to weekly, go up to weekly, we can see the price is pretty much bearish. Okay, and once we focus on the recent market structure, we can see that price made a low, made a high, made a low, came back up to make a high, another high, and now price, I'm waiting for price to reject this area and go back down for me to go take shots again. How am I going to do that? Well, we can see that daily is kind of bullish right now. I want price to break under this area of structure where there's a lot of support, resistance, support. I want price to cross under this area where I can go short. If we go down to 4 hour, again, we could see like a head and shoulders pattern right over here. So my analysis strategy is pretty simple. Once price closes under this area, either number one, it comes back for rejection, which is highly plausible as we've seen it before over here, and then we go short. Or I see where at what time the market breaks under this area. If it's during London or New York session where like there's high volatility, high momentum, I'm just gonna enter right away after this break. I'm gonna put my stop loss over here above these wicks, which also acts like basically a supply zone. As we can see, the market has just been consolidating since last week, and there's a lot of volume too in this. It's not like there's no volume at all. So I'm gonna wait for that, and I'm gonna put my stop loss somewhere over here, maybe near this area of demand, giving me a good risk to reward of 3.64. I'm probably gonna enter a little late, so somewhere over here, 3.15. That's a really good risk to reward. Then our next pair is Euro NZD. Now, when we look at this pair, we can see that price is pretty much extremely bullish. Price was up, came back for a retest. I just want to take back advantage of price rejecting this area and going back up. We can see by the wick that price is not ready to break under this area of structure. We can see that there was a really good rejection of 78.6 Fibonacci level. If you go on down to a daily, that's a better view. Yeah, and we also are breaking above this area, basically internal daily bearish structure. So we can see if we just zoom out, we can see like in a clearer view that all right, price is making a high, a low, another high, a low, a high, and coming back to this area of previous low to go back up to make another high again. Now, if we go down to 4 hour right here, we can see that if 4 hour is pretty much bearish, it gives us a perfect rejection where price made a low, made a high, made another low, so that once price makes another high, it shifts structure over here. That gives us more confirmation to go bullish. And also, if not, price could also make an inverted head and shoulders right here. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on this trade right over here. If price breaks above, I'm going to look for a rejection of this area, as we have clearly seen over here. A pattern like this would be beautiful, where we get like a bearish and a bullish pin bar. If I get so, I'm going to take advantage and target the next structure point, which is area of structure, which is over here, where we've seen clearly a lot of rejection, support, rejection. And also I want price to close above this 200 EMA. Next comes this GBP art. Not my favorite trade, but always keeping my eye on this. So as we can see, the price was bullish, came back down, gave us a good weekly rejection over here on this area of structure. If you go down to daily, price is basically making like a double bottom, ready to go back up again. Price did shift structure on daily right over here, and it is also willing to shift structure on daily again over here. But my entry point is going to be further from the daily structure, because as we can see that there's this level of consolidation. After this level of consolidation ends, when price breaks above this area according to the weekly time frame, I'm going to take advantage of this scenario and go long from to the nearest structure point. This is just a pretty simple textbook trade setup. Super excited. I wanted like a rejection like this, gives us a break, comes back for beautiful retest, gives us a bullish engulfing with the volume again starting to pull up, and then all the way back up here. I might see about my take profit. Really, I will have a mental take profit, not a physical one. As soon as price comes to this area, I'm just going to keep an eye out. If price is willing to move up just like this candle, I'm going to let it go. If I see some sort of rejection like this candle, then I'm just going to take my profit right over there. Our next trade is Brent. Now, I'm not a huge commodity trader, but if you go down to weekly, pretty much price is bearish, but price might reject this area of amazing structure and also this head and shoulders. As we can see that price is starting to reject these lows right here, ready to go all the way back up. If we go down to daily, we can see that the daily has sort of shifted structure right over here. There's an internal market bullish structure, and we can also see the head and shoulders more clearly. Now, if we go down to 4 hour, that's when the markets start getting interesting, because we have this beautiful inverted head and shoulders, which gives us a sign that, okay, maybe price is ready to go back up again. Price broke above this area of resistance where price struggled to break from 4th of this month, so that's about 16 days right here. Price did break above. I wanted to look for a retest right over here. Price opened on my area right here. So I'm interested in this trade. I don't know at what point am I going to take this trade, because again, like I said, I'm not a commodities trader, but I'm going to keep my eye out. Might enter like a super low risk trade right over here. Then comes USD CAD. USD CAD, basically it's as we can see that pretty much price is super bearish. If you go down to 4 hour, we can see this beautiful head and shoulders, which means price is continuing or willing to continue bearish. I'm just waiting for this candle to close and give us a rejection. Once it does, I'm just going to scalp my entry on the 15-minute time frame, where if price decides to give me a rejection, I can just wait for like a rejection over here from this area, and I'm just going to target this area right over here where there's been previous support and resistance. If we go up to 4 hour, we can see a better picture. As we can see, there's just a lot of resistance, support. So I'm going to target this area for now. I wanted to enter this trade last week, but over here, but I was just waiting because it was already Friday and markets were just consolidating a lot last week. So I was just keeping an eye out on this trade, but wasn't really ready to enter yet. Now we come down to Euro GBP. This is just an idea. I could be completely wrong. Originally wanted price to reject this area right over here, but if price decides to just go back up from here, that's okay too. If we go down to daily, we can see that the daily actually shifted structure, which is why I was analyzing that it might actually come reject this area and shift structure, because as we can see, this is a pretty important area of structure. We can see there's a lot of resistance. Price broke above, price shifted structure in the daily, so it just makes sense that price might be coming back down over here for a rejection. The reason being is because if you look at 4 hour, there's a beautiful head and shoulders pattern forming right over here. I'm not gonna enter so early. I'm gonna wait for like a confirmation by price closing under this area. As we can see that the 4 hour has also shifted structure, because this was the higher low, this was the higher high, price broke under this, and the nearest higher low is over here, so lower high is over here. So 4 hour is pretty much bearish this entire structure right over here until it decides to just go and close back up over here. So I'm gonna keep my eye out. I have my alerts set up, but again, I just didn't like how crazy last weekend, like before pre-market closing was. There was a lot of volume, but markets was just consolidating, and I think it's just unraveling right now with the moves it's gonna give. And now if you go down to our, I think it was my last pair, I still got a couple more, odd CAD, we can see that if we go up to weekly time frame, we can see that price is basically coming back for rejection, rejected 61.8 level right over here. If we go down to daily, we can see that there's just this area of structure on the daily. I'm just waiting for prices pretty much bearish in daily too. There was no shift to structure, by the way, so I'm just waiting for 4 hour or like smaller time frames to shift structure. Not super interested in this trade, but keeping my eye out if price wants to just make a low, make a high, reject this area and continue going down. I'm always in the markets for these kind of trades. Pretty simple textbook setup, because as we can see that there's just a lot of support over here and a lot of consolidation. So I just want this range to be broken, and I'm gonna plan according to that. On NZD, not super interested in this trade, just keeping my eye out. As we can see that on the daily, it's just like bearish. We gave us a rejection and we're coming back down here again. We can see that the 4 hour over here, I wanted to enter this trade, but again it just slipped past me. And also there wasn't really a lot of structure because price closed. I mean, if I were to enter, I would have entered under the break of this area of support, but price obviously closed open below this area, so there's not much I can do right now. Also, I just don't like taking trades on Sundays. I'm just gonna let this go. Let's see how it goes. Then our last pair, USD Swiss franc. Now if we go up to the weekly, price is pretty much bearish. My analysis was price could come back up here for a rejection because price gave us a doji right over here. We're basically consolidating all week. If price breaks under this, so we have this beautiful range. If price breaks under, I'm looking to go short. If price breaks above, I'm looking to go long. It would be better if it closed above so that price could reject this structure point with 61.8 Fibonacci level and a round number of 8400. But if price just wants to continue going back down, then that's, I'm okay with that too. We can see this beautiful range of support and resistance. Price is moving crazy right now, so I'm just going to keep my eye out on this trade, see how it goes. My ideal setup would be just a simple break and retest. So if price breaks under, I'm not going to enter right away because it could be a fake out too. I'm going to wait for a retest, a rejection, some sort of like a pattern or an entry pattern where I know, okay, I can enter the trade right now, and I'm going to plan accordingly. So these were my trades for this week. This is right over here, GBP CAD, one of my favorite trades, probably my best setup for this week. As we can see that the 15-minute has now shown signs of rejection. It's just going to make a higher low somewhere over here and then another higher high. So I'm going to be keeping my eye out on this trade this entire session. Yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to message me, or feel free to leave a comment. Please like, subscribe and share. And yeah, I'll be here next week. If I have some really good setups, I might make a video on them and upload them on YouTube too. So yeah, I'll see you next week.